So you're interested in playing the poverty game UNI2, and you found two big reasons to play Kaguya. I don't blame you, the grenades and the gun are pretty strong motivators. You've got a handle on her basics from the lid video and the Mizumi wiki, but you're still too newbie to ping LFG PC. Well, I'm not here to guarantee you'll beat the LFG PC sweats, but this is the intermediate Kaguya guide from a guy who plays this game mostly to stress test his controllers. Kaguya is a Setplay character with a plethora of nicely sized buttons for space trapping the opponent. Her moves have a good amount of stagger for frame trapping, but she does lack some of the stronger approach normals that other characters have. 2C is the GOAT. It's a pretty fast C button at 9 frames, and it's a double sweep. This means if your opponent starts getting funky on you, just slam 2C and deny them any footsies, backdashing, and, more often than not, whiff punishing, simply because of how far it reaches. It's also one of Kaguya's few normals that moves her forward, letting you continue applying pressure. The potential damage and corner carry from using this move as a starter is also great. The downside? This move is super laggy on whip, so opponents approaching with assault or a jump will have plenty of time to punish you. That's where 236A comes in. It's fat. It's slower at 11 frames, plus your quarter circle input, but just look at that hitbox. It's also a strike, so you can delete projectiles with it and call out moves that rely on projectile invulnerability. 4B is Kaguya's anti-air. It's fast, it's huge, and more often than not the opponent is never ready to punish it on block. It's also very easy to input when defending, since you're already holding back to block. 5C is Kaguya's highest damage normal. It has a nice stagger window and can even act as a pseudo anti-air in some situations. 6C might not seem that great when you're starting out. It's slow at 18 frames, it's only a mid, and it's -5 on block. However, this move has a lot of nuance, and it'll easily become one of your favorite tools if you use it correctly. 6C low crushes, throw crushes, and sometimes even anti-airs or spacing traps opponents. On block, 6C can be cancelled into 236A with a minimum 1 frame gap. This creates a favorable RPS for Kaguya, since the threat of the 236A follow-up discourages opponents from mashing after 6C, especially if you have meter for the full combo conversion. This makes 6C a great point to reset pressure, go for a grab, or do a throw shimmy, and it's also one of the few normals that moves Kaguya forward significantly. If you're looking for a more complete overview of her moves, check out Lid's Kaguya overview guide. Most of the information there is still relevant, but the biggest changes are that 2A is now 5 frames, and the 236A hitbox is way bigger. Of course, everyone's playstyle is different, but Kaguya's game plan revolves around standard UNI2 redash pressure, a bit of lasering, and a lot of smoke and mirrors. Let's start with the up-close pressure sequence. This is core UNI2 strike throw, so I'll keep it brief. Staggered A buttons can frame trap mashers, of course. The most common pressure string is 2A, 2A, and then a B or C button. Let's say 5B. If timed correctly, the gaps between each button will result in frame traps, discouraging the opponent from mashing. So, what if the opponent just blocks? This is where we can redash in and grab, press 2A, or use an assault button to crush lows and throws, restarting the pressure RPS all over again. If you're full screen, this is where you want to use your lasers. 66C is plus on block, which makes 236B afterward a pretty good dash block or mash check. If the opponent's doing nothing, I like rage baiting them by tapping concentrate, and then doing 236BB to catch their dash up reaction to the concentrate. Once you get the hit, it's time to send them to the corner. Unless you're certain that cashing out all of your resources will kill, it's almost always better to send them to the corner and start running Setplay. Setplay is where the real single player experience and knowledge checks begin, and it's the easiest way to cheese out games against players who would normally never lose to you. More often than not, getting that first hit that leads to the corner is the hardest part of playing Kaguya. What if the opponent just sits there and blocks? Kaguya has no standing overheads. You've got a good point. Kaguya is not a rushdown character. As mentioned earlier, if you're full screen, you have access to lasers to poke the opponent. If you have a health lead, 660 does a little bit of chip damage at the cost of donating grid to the opponent. You can mix in some lasering and a bit of concentrating to stay competitive in the grid cycle. If your opponents let you win the cycle, you can begin approaching with dash blocks since you now have a resource advantage. You can also air stall with grenades. Many players are afraid to approach when grenades are set in neutral and will often get hit by them. This is generally grid positive as long as you assault. The way this works is, Kaguya can do 1 meterless grenade set, 1 air dash, and if you really want, 1 metered grenade set. Once an airborne meterless grenade is set, Kaguya can do 1 air move. You can land with an aerial, or you can air dash. Kaguya's air dash then gives you 1 air action, including a rejump, which then allows 1 more air move. Mix and match these sequences, and you can create a very unpredictable air situation for the opponent. 236A is a great round start. It requires 1 frame of forward movement to actually hit at round start, but if your quarter circle input isn't perfectly clean, you'll usually get that movement anyway. It's not bulletproof, but it's a great layer 1 check to see whether the opponent knows how to deal with it. 66B is a decent round start. It closes the round start gap with a hitbox instead of blindly running in. Some opponents will walk back so 236A whiffs, but a slightly deep 66B can catch them trying to whiff punish, and on hit it can easily carry them to the corner. Dash block. You gain grid, you close the gap, and you stay safe. Up back round start is another option. Kaguya has strong air mobility, so up back into grenade stalling can be quite effective. I also like doing up back into air dash to clip people who are dash blocking towards me. Walk back is also strong. It lets you observe how the opponent plays round start without committing, and only a few moves will actually reach you. If they whiff, 236A or 2C are great whiff punishes. Just watch out for those cursed long range lows from characters like Wagner.
This is the least fun character in the game by a fucking mile.
In my opinion, these combos can cover the majority of your hits. This combo works on extremely prorated starters such as 2AAA and Assault. If you don't know what you hit, this combo will most likely work. The main exceptions are when you hit a spaced out 2C, you're at an awkward distance from the corner where the air dash spacing gets messed up, or you start from throw in the corner. So what happens if you hit a spaced out 2C? I recommend the corner carry route. Note that this doesn't work on most Assault or 2A starters, so if your hit came from Assault or 2A, stick with the first combo. This route carries much farther, which is ideal for Kaguya, where getting the opponent to the corner is half the challenge. When it comes to corner combos, I recommend starting with something simple which works off of anything and keeps you flexible with your Oki options. 5BB makes it easy to hit confirm, it's very lenient on height, it works on heavily prorated grab starters, and it routes into any Oki situation you want. You do give up some damage on bigger starters, but combos can always be optimized later once the basic flowchart's in place. For better combos, take a look at the Know Your In-Birth for Kaguya video or the Mizumi wiki. 3CB214A is the safest and most basic nade set. Depending on the opponent's habits, it can be either your strongest or weakest option. Even though Kaguya is -2 after the setup, most players unfamiliar with the matchup will simply block, which lets Kaguya run a wide variety of mix. You can run up grab shimmy, assault JA immediately, or point blank, 66B, dash 2A, or simply wait and see if they panic or try to creeping edge. Do note that the opponent can mash fast A normals here without getting punished by the grenades. This can usually be countered with a micro dash 5A or sometimes just raw 5B. If the opponent uses delayed getup in this Oki, you can still assault JA or throw. This is one of the nade set that arguably becomes stronger on delay. At certain ranges, your 214A might hit the opponent. While the opponent can delay tech the entire nade Oki situation when that happens, if they have an instant tech, you can go for an assault JA to pop them into the grenades and begin the loop again. 3CB214B is a safe jump against DP slower than 7 frames. You can fall with JB to overhead meaty, or whiff JA into throw before the grenade pops. If the opponent reacts to the JA, you can throw shimmy with assault or jump. You do need to time the falling JB if you want it to be safe on shield versus throw, or you can use JC against characters with even slower DPs, or when you're confident they won't DP. If you do think they are going to DP, you can do a B air dash and avoid quite a few DPs. If you meaty with an overhead in this setup, you can corner steal by immediately doing 9 rejump. If you want to fake the corner steal, 668 looks almost identical while keeping you on the same side. On delayed getup, you cannot throw without it turning into a gold throw, which weakens the setup. Once you recognize they're delaying, you can use 214B charge to air stall long enough to threaten throw again. If the opponent instant techs on 214B charge, you can get a corner steal by clipping their heads with falling JA. Some characters have weird hurt boxes that cause this to not work, but even so, the JA will whiff and the 2A will still catch a lot of them standing, so the situation remains pretty favorable. Smart Steer 214C, commonly called McNades, is a great nade set because the grenades meet all wake up timings, and you can run a wide variety of high-low mix. I like using the setup when the opponent is grid broken or hasn't shown creeping edge as counterplay, since it's difficult to run mix and cover creeping edge at the same time. Examples of mix include Micro Dash Assault JA, Dash 2A, TK Assault J2C JA, also known as the Baconator for a double overhead, 8J Assault JA Whiff into 2A, 8J Assault JA Whiff into 9JC Charged Fuzzy, TK236B into the rejump into JAJB for a double overhead, as well as 214B Charged Corner Steal. You can also do TK214C nade set to be put closer to the opponent for more threatening high-low mix. ADP Delay J214C is also a great nade set and functions similarly to McNades, but with a few key differences. It leaves Kaguya slightly closer to the corner, so 8J Assault JA Fuzzy no longer works due to spacing. On delayed getup, the grenades do not meaty, which means you can actually dash up and run a throw shimmy on delay. And some CDBs can actually clip Kaguya during the setup. I like to use this route when I'm not close enough for Smart Steer Ender and want the extra corner carry from ADP. Also remember that certain characters have frame 1 invul moves such as Akatsuki EX Parry, which gets them out of corner for the price of 100 meter, which is a great deal for them given the situation. Mid-screen 3CB 214B grenades are pretty fake, since the opponent can delay or back tech out of the situation. But if they don't know the counterplay, the reward is huge because it usually means you get another combo to push them to the real corner. I call this the sneak reset, since they're the one who hit me with it in the mirror. On prorated starters such as Assault J2C or 2A, you can run the 2C6C route, but after JC charged, you end with 2C5B6C. The normal 5C afterward will drop here, so instead, you cancel 6C into J236A, 9JC charged, and then 2C. This creates a tricky left-right where, if the opponent doesn't switch their block, they'll forward tech and side swap. This only works on instant getup, but on delayed getup, you still get a hard knockdown with JC charged via an invalid combo, so it's still fine. You can also fake an overhead with point blank Assault JB. Assault JB doesn't hit crouching opponents, so up close it's pretty hard to react to. The opponent focuses on blocking high too late, and you land into a grab. This is especially strong in corners since you're already close to the opponent and it loops into nade Oki. You can do it mid-screen, but mid-screen grab isn't very rewarding for Kaguya. You generally only get a meaty 6-6C on instant wake up. Another viable corner steal is 6C 214B nade set against opponents who instant tech in the corner. The core idea behind corner stealing is that 214B charged, or a low height J214B for example, 6C into 214B or TK 214B puts you at the right height to clip the enemy's head with JA and push them out of the corner. Everything up till now should give you a very effective intermediate Kaguya, but here are a few more things to think about as you improve. Learn specific combos for common situations. Great damage, stable, allows side swap, and lets you smart steer ender for grid. You can also do JBB, 8JC, 66C into the corner carry combo. You'll often use 66B into 236A to keep a negative slide-in save. For this route, you want a fairly deep 236A hit, and you'll need to slightly delay the 3CA follow-up unless you're already in the corner. Very common situation. Works on raw 236C if you time the 5B. Does not work on starter into 236AAA. In that case, do 214C if you're in true corner. .5BB, JBB, J214A also works. Single bounce, great corner carry. Thanks Abosa. Used when you want to call out someone outside 4B range. There are always more optimizations, just make sure you have reliable conversions off as many hits as possible. The more routes you can convert, the more freedom you have in neutral, because your reward becomes huge off any hit. Kaguya's force function is a 3-frame startup spot dodge, with optional strike or projectile follow-ups. At 3-frame startup, it isn't a true DP, and on block you basically eat a full DP punish. Even with chain shift, you can't cancel it. On hit with immediate chain shift, you do get a combo, but it's riskier than using CS defensively and relying on CDP instead, assuming you have a 100 meter. That said, it's still a tool to keep in your pocket. I mainly use it when I know the follow-up will kill, since many characters structure pressure on 4 frame gaps, which is grab speed. I'll occasionally call out plus frame pressure like blocking a fireball, and sneak it in to close a round. Because Kaguya's Rekka is so large, Dash Rekka becomes useful for closing spacing gaps. I recommend watching Omega Lid's video, UNI2's first advanced tech, for a deeper explanation. Think you can kill? Cash out. A simple, consistent cash out route for 200 meter and Vorpal in the corner is 3CB, 236 AAA, 214C, 236 AAA, CBO, 66B, 236 AAA into IW. If you're mid-screen with 200 meter and Vorpal, you can do 623A for 3 hits, J214C, dash 623A, CVO, 5C, 5AB, and 5ABC. I won Vorpal Cycle. Now what? In UNI2's specials can be CS'd on whiff, so doing a special into chain shift is a great way to check for DPs while keeping your turn. For example, 236 AD gives you a DP safe meaty, and you can also do this after 236C to check for reversal attempts while keeping your plus frames. Assault JA CS is the classic net play unk check, when you don't feel like working too hard to open someone up in neutral. It's Kaguya's fastest overhead at 23 frames. It is reactable, but when sprinkled in at the right moments, even strong players can get hit. Or, just hold it. Denying the opponent Vorpal significantly weakens both their offense and defense, which naturally increases your odds of winning. Plus 5 grab setup. This effectively lets you run a 3-frame 5B. I personally don't use this setup often because the delay timing is finicky, but it does put you closer to the opponent for a more threatening strike throw with the grenades behind you. Plus 7 grab setup. You're more plus, but spaced farther away. You can safely threaten 236A Rekka at this distance, but because of how far it pushes you out, I also don't use this setup very often. Another option for meterless set play I like doing is 214B after JC charged. How plus you are depends on the starter, but it usually leaves Kaguya less minus than 3CB 214B, which allows you to safe jump many more characters. If the opponent delays their getup, you'll miss the meaty overhead, but you can follow up with Assault JA and still combo with the grenades. In patch 1.21, Kaguya's EX grenades were changed so that they no longer consume a bounce when used. This greatly expanded feasible nade Oki routes and let Kaguya spend meter for damage while still retaining grenade Oki. The following 3 setups I use are all from Miyagi Muteki on Twitter. They don't have official names, but these are what I call them. This setup still allows you to throw a microdash Assault JA. On delay techers, the grenade will meaty with its last hit. If the opponent forward techs, they remain in corner but can no longer be comboed by the grenades. I use this setup a lot because it's fairly easy to execute and does a great job of keeping the opponent cornered. It's also strong against delay techers with CS since the meaty grenade looks misleading. Many players think that it has dissipated due to its transparency and get hit. An evolution of 1.0 that sets up a throw shimmy situation. This one is more execution heavy, since the microdash must be as short as possible. If your dash goes too deep or the opponent forward techs at the right time, they can escape the corner and nullify the setup. I call this the Mawaro setup because that's where I first saw it, though I believe it also originated from Miyagi Muteki. This creates a true safe jump on instant getup, but the opponent can delay tech through the entire setup. If they forward tech, you become plus and can meaty accordingly. Obosa has another great video showcasing many other advanced setups. Definitely worth watching if you want to expand your bag of tricks. Option selecting means performing one input that produces different results depending on the situation. I recommend checking out Omega Lid's guide on OSing. To keep it brief, you blink a normal with the throw macro at the timing you would tech a throw. If timed correctly, the normal won't come out because you're already being thrown, but the blink grab input will tech it, letting you cover 2 options at once. Some common OS inputs for Kaguya are anti-air plus throw OSs such as 4BAD and 5CAD. 4B gives head invuln, but comes with downsides such as being -8 on block and requiring a direction. 5CAD is a good alternative if you notice opponents specifically looking to punish 4B on block. You can also plink 1CAD to catch players doing backdash shimmy throw baits. This generally only needs to be used as a callout on certain characters, since it loses extremely hard to run up assault. Kaguya can also perform Nut Scratch, also known as 9JA or Rising JA. If your timing is consistent, you won't need the AD macro at all and won't get locked out of teching throws, but starting with 9JAD is totally fine, since if you're late, you'll still tech the throw. Speaking of Rising JA, it's also a solid point blank CS option, since it dodges throws and catches assaults and jump attempts. In addition to 2A, Kaguya's 623A is a 5-frame option that combos on trade using 236C. 623A can be special cancelled into 236C if done quickly, and can also be cancelled into 214C with a bit more leniency. Cancelling into 236C is also safer, but many opponents will let you get away with 214C and may even get hit by the grenades themselves. And that's it! UNI2 has far more depth than what I've covered here, but hopefully this guide helps you take your Kaguya gameplay to new heights. That's all. Don't expect any more edited content from me. Support my controller gig at Speedy Labs, and thanks for watching.
No, this game is actually coded by fucking plebeians.